artificial. The objects are not, other than this humanoid-looking face, are not recognizable by contemporary standards. They don't look like buildings and streets, things that one would expect in a modern technological culture. But yet they seem to possess a certain degree of organization and regularity.
It's got my name on it. Make sure you put your name on it. Right. Cutaways, the A4 sheet of paper, square root 2 rectangle. Well, my name's Chris O'Kane. I am a member of the Society for Planetary CT Research. We're a loosely based group of scientists and researchers and others who are looking into a matter of anomalies in the solar system that might lead to the identification of technosignatures by extraterrestrial intelligence. Well, way back in the 80s and 90s, our group were looking into a series of anomalies in the northern hemisphere of Mars. The area that we're interested in is around here, and here, approximately 40 degrees north and 10 degrees west in a region called Cydonia. The first object that was found was the face. The MESA is like others in the area, except that the low sun angle has formed shadows that give the illusion of a human head, including eyes, nose and mouth. The formation is approximately 1 mile across. And here we have a higher resolution, about 12 metres a pixel or thereabouts. But the issue wasn't the face itself, the issue is what we found next to it, this area to the west. This area here. And what we're trying to point out here are these mounds, these brightly lit mounds, about 100 feet across. So we've got quite an interesting geometry going on here between just 5 mounds. So we've got all intermound distances are multiples of square root 1, 2 and 3, and we've got similar right triangles. Also turns out that these mounds appear to be laid out on nodal points of a square root 2 rectangle. Now, square root 2 rectangular grid is quite an unusual thing. It's very particular. It's the only rectangle that has the property of self-replication. It's a sheet of A4 paper. You can fold it in half along the short side and you'll have a square root 2 rectangle. You can fold it again along the short side, it will be a square root 2 rectangle. You could double it side by side, it would be a square root 2 rectangle. And no other rectangle has that property. It's very unique. And of course the square root 2 is an irrational number. It can never be reconciled. It'll go on forever. So it's odd that we find these mounds, only 12 of them, laid out in this rectangular grid with all these mathematical and geometrical relationships between them. And it turns out that it's millions to one. It's somewhere around 2 million to 1 that you'll find a pattern with 12 of these forming all this geometry very tightly. So it leads to the question, are we looking at a product of nature or a product of intelligence? There's a certain amount of logic in here. It deals with some of the fundamental concepts of energy generation, of chemistry, and architecture and art and geometry itself. So whatever the message is, it's a message that we can understand. We can understand this. The only numbers involved in it are ratios and distances and sizes. You know, it doesn't have to be metric, it doesn't have to be imperial. We're dealing with ratios. So there's a kind of logic to it.
It is or it is not.
You can copyright sound on that.
School are helping us answer the question. Forms of phone, please.
Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4.